Afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here with my two great partners, Lisa McQuillan and Carla Fedigan, for Humanity Happy Hour today. Uh, it is one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella, where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity in the workplace in a very positive, constructive way. We want to know what the issues are out there that are facing people today, because it is our goal to both work with employees and employers to bring humanity back to the workforce. And as always, we'll be going live every Tuesday for Sharing Care with Sandy, Wednesday for Conversation for Humanity, and Thursdays for Humanity Happy Hour, all at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Exception, Conversation for Humanity will have a meet and greet from 2:45 to 3, and that's the only exception with that. And feel free to invite your friends, co-workers, dogs, cats, you name it. Bring them all. We love to have them on our show today and every day, 3 days a week. Today, of course, our great host with the most, Carla Fedigan, will be here today. And as you jump on, feel free to comment in the chat where you're jumping on from or watching from. And we would love to have a great and engaging conversation with you. So please reach out to us. And we also would like to have that conversation with you moving forward. And just to let everybody know, we can have up to 10 people on the live stream. So if you'd like to jump on, I will put the live stream link in the chat, whether it be on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, on Twitter, or on a Facebook business page where you can watch us there too as well. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The host with the most, and who is the actual curator of the 19th hole, Carla Fedigan.
Hey, Chris, there's no 19th hole today. There'll be one Sunday for sure, but
no 19th hole.
No 19th hole today. No. Too much going on around here. I don't know if I'm the one with the mostest, but I show up anyway. Hope everyone's doing well. We've been talking about human development this week, and of course my phone's going off at the same time. We've been talking about human development this week versus human resources and the importance of developing a great culture in the workplace. And Lisa, I just earlier looked at that fantastic article that you posted. I sat and read every piece of it. It was just fantastic. It was about the 27 companies that offered a great culture in the workplace and how they did it. And I love some of the things that they did in there, especially the ones that started with the recruitment process and worked with their employees through the recruitment process and into working to make sure that they were developed. I thought that was fantastic. But the one thing that hit me, and I thought we could talk about this and see where it's going to go, there was 27 great companies, and I hadn't heard of one of them. I thought for sure the farther I got down that list, I would see one of the big wig companies, and not a single one of them was on there.
I thought Zoom was in there. Seems like that was the only one I recognized. So I thought the same thing. I forgot about that one.
Sorry about that, Zoom.
That's okay. No, I think that was the only one, and that hit me the same, is that none of these companies we really know anything about. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to share the article, was, again, just to highlight those companies and get us talking about, what are some things that we can do to bring those companies to light, and also try to generate other feedback on other companies that might be doing very similar things or different things that maybe are unique, but still in the same realm.
Well, I'm sure that you probably saw the title and your first thoughts were, let me see what's in here. Who all's listed in here? And you probably thought like I did, surely there's going to be some big wigs in there. Delta, Coca-Cola, Amazon, all these big companies, and they weren't.
Exactly. No, and it makes you wonder why not. And so maybe it was just the author that maybe didn't touch on those bigger companies. Maybe part of the reason for the article was to highlight these companies that we don't know that much about. But it would be good to get some feedback from some other companies, some bigger companies that maybe we can highlight, or I don't know if I actually have some connections with some people that work at Amazon. So I'm going to try to reach out to them next week and see if maybe we can get them to come and talk about, maybe be a guest speaker on here about what their company's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking, well, maybe if these smaller players are really talking about what they're doing for their companies, maybe that will draw out some of the bigger companies to actually toot their own horn or take a look at what they're not doing and maybe integrate some of the things into their own practices of what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, hello, Ann and Christopher. How you guys doing today on Terrific Thursday?
Hello, my fellow human beings. How are y'all? Greetings.
Hello.
You're good.
Greetings.
How about you?
Welcome.
So
I am fine.
Where are you from?
I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
I was going to say, I noticed the Southern accent. I'm in Atlanta, too. I'm up in Brazelton.
Okay. I'm in the Fairburn, Fayetteville.
Oh, okay. I'm Northeast and you're Southwest.
Yes.
And all you got to do is on the screen where it says that little microphone, that's where you can actually unmute yourself. So that's all you have to do is hit that little microphone button.
If you're full screen, hit the escape button and it'll take it smaller and you can see where the microphone button is.
So Chris, why don't you tell everybody how me and you met and what does that human development factor mean and show up to you as?
Yes, we met in the words of humanity. That's the first thing. That's our attraction. It was all about humanity. And we met on Clubhouse, under one of his rooms that he was, I've been in quite a few of his rooms, and it was always geared towards humanity. And I am humanity by DNA and also my company, BHN, Basic Human Needs, Inc. And my platform is all about developing and creating a human platform for now and then into the future. It kind of embodies design, manufacturing, and distribution of basic human need products, sustainable green products, and creating small microeconomic development and however that falls in areas. But that's how we met. I am here for humanity. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. And if you want to turn on your video, we would love to see you. Hello, Ann. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I had to reload the site, so that's why I had to leave and come back.
That's the way the technology goes for you.
No, you never know what you're going to get.
It leaves a lot to be desired. I'll say that, just so you know.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself to everyone, Ann, about how me and you met and how everything resonates with you.
I got you. I'm with you. Don't worry. So I met Chris on Humanity First, right? No.
What's
Tony's thing called?
Humans First.
Humans First. Okay, they're all the same names to me.
Yeah, they all run together.
Yeah, exactly. That's no joke. And he was very nice. He reached out. Just to give you guys a short background. Do you guys know much about technology?
Yep, we're on this.
Okay, have you heard of a company called Rackspace, right?
Actually, no.
Well, then you need to go look at my LinkedIn profile. You'll see who I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. Trust me, I'm not doing your homework for you. But my father was also, he was a chief medical officer on the SS Long Beach. And so when I saw that Chris was working with all these wonderful women who also serve, we believe in that. Makes sense? But I'm also way better at tech than all of you guys. I know. Do you guys know what TCP IP is?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, well, look it up on Wikipedia. It is an internet suite protocol. I have memorized that entire thing since I was 19. So when I see stuff that's stupid, I go crazy. I'm like, why is this the way it is? This person, what developer built this stupid shit? I'm like, they're lazy. They don't care about the customer. What in the motherfuck? You know what I mean? Yeah, I see it all the time. I've been dealing with it all day today.
Oh, one of those days, huh?
Oh my gosh, well, it's nonstop. And all my friends from Rackspace, just remember, Rackspace was an $8 billion company at the top of the market. And we took it public and private and whatever else, whatever, who cares? All these little stock fuckers that are manipulators of whatever. Yeah. So that's the deal. But I was the one, me and a bunch of other people. Let's say you could have called me the chief architect, but that wasn't my official title. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's why I get so annoyed when I see all this stupid stuff.
Yeah. So what we're talking about all week this week, and Chris, and which Chris already knows a little bit about, is human development. What does it look like to you and mean to you, and how can we transcend that?
What are the core values of this place? What are the core values of this organization? Have you guys defined them yet?
It's about humanity, living your humanity each and every single day, expressing your humanity in your own unique way. Just be human. And
okay, here's my recommendation. You guys should define at least 3 to 5 core values and make them very fun. Go look at some companies that have core values, and then what's your mission statement? You got to have a mission and a vision statement that's very clear and simple. I'll give you an example of what Rackspace's was. To be recognized as a world-class service leader like such companies as Ritz-Carlton, Nordstrom, and Lexus. That was it. Very simple. Wait, make sure my dog doesn't run away. Just do something like that, and it'll make it real. It makes it real simple. And then you guys have just spend some time thinking about it, because you guys have a great idea. I think you just need to clarify what you're trying to do and be very specific, because if you walk into a pitch meeting asking for money, they're going to look at that and they're going to go, what the heck? Why don't they? It's too vague. That's all.
Okay. But like I said, that's what we're talking about all week. This week is about the human development factor. Can it transcend human resources as it sits today and everything? And that's what.
That's really easy. Have you guys looked at Workday? Do you know what Workday is?
Yeah, I've heard of Workday.
Yeah. So wait, are you trying to build a software platform, or are you actually trying to affect folks?
We want to really bring humanity into the workplace, because a lot of places today.
No, I understand.
It's just like, Lisa, why don't you tell Ann about the article that you did?
Tell me.
The article, the post that I wrote.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
About the
Why don't
27
you just send
companies.
it to me?
The article that I shared. Okay. So the article that I shared yesterday highlighted 27 companies that are operating with the human factor in mind. And so things that they're doing to focus on the people. And so basically it's treating people in a humane way, right? Human, basically doing
yes, I
things
understand that.
like
I
recruiting.
totally get it. What tools do you guys use? Are you familiar with Gallup?
Yes, I am familiar with Gallup.
Do you have your top 5?
No.
Do you know?
No.
You haven't taken that? Or do you have your Q12? Do you know what Q12 is?
No.
Oh, girl,
No.
you gotta look all that stuff up. You will totally enjoy it.
Okay.
It aligns with what you're trying to do. And then there's this other thing called top grading. Check that out as well.
Did you say top grading?
Yeah, top grading. Check that out as
Okay.
well. Just use.
Okay.
So I only use certain parts of it, but I would use the SIDS, Comprehensive In-Depth Survey. That's
Okay.
Yeah. So do that. We'd always say we're SIDS in them. SIDS.
Okay.
Then you learn all about the folks, and then we use StrengthsFinder for understanding how they use their personality to get things done. And then we also use, in just, the SIDS process. It's a team-based interview, which is groovy. And it's all just based on what they are, because you're just basically trying to learn who this person is, right? Because you're hiring the whole human.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and then it also has a talent I hate this word, talent management process, but
Mhm.
we use something called peer reviews instead of what, all these old white men who decided this is the only way to deal with people, which is usually the problem because they think they know everything and there's not enough compassion in there. The team peer reviews. So we organized little teams, and then everybody was working together, and then they would say it was a keep, stop, start, or strengths and opportunities depending upon where they are at. And everybody would just talk like kindergarten and say, you did this really well, or you did that really bad, or let's work on this. That's all.
Okay.
It's so simple.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
It's super easy. And then everybody gets all excited because they feel like they have skin in the game. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another thing called NPS, Net Promoter System. I'd look that up. We use that for customers and also for the leadership team to make sure they weren't being jerks.
Okay. All right.
Because then everybody had a voice, and we made it anonymous because everybody was worried the first time around. I said, it doesn't need to be anonymous. I said, none of you are getting fired. You're giving us feedback about how they need to get better and be nicer to you guys. I was like, that's all it is. I said, but I understand you're scared because you have to pay for your families and all that. I said, none of you are getting fired. I can assure you of that. They're getting fired if they're jerks, because they have the big job to lead you guys down the charge. And if anyone's being a real jerk for unnecessary reasons, they're gone. So the numbers, it makes it easier because they had all signed morality clauses about being kind to the folks on the front lines.
Okay.
That's how it should work. Remember, so I took all this stuff, all these things and tools and things are from ideas from my dad, because he used to triage incoming patients, right? So like we're in the ER, everyone's a patient, everyone's a customer, no matter who they are.
Right.
Yeah, you understand that. Yeah, the nurses totally get it because my dad knows nurses do all the work.
Right. Right.
That's right. Yeah, there you go. Big smiles. Yeah. So I took it all. I learned it all from my dad. And he goes, you're just going to become a doctor for companies. He goes, I don't understand.
That's a good way to put it.
I know how to take care of patients. I was like, I'll learn. He goes, yes, learn. So.
Good.
All right. So, Carla, what else is on tap?
Well, I just wanted to elaborate more on that article and talk about some of the great things in the article about these 27 companies that nobody had heard of except for Zoom, and all the great things that they were doing.
I know Eric Yuan from Zoom.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, remember, everybody hosted on Rackspace. That's what I'm saying. Go look at my profile. You'll understand.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that. Yeah.
Yes, definitely we will. Yes. So when it comes to human development, though, for you, Carla, when we were talking about yesterday, especially from nurses, how did it really show up for you in that space of being a nurse?
There wasn't a whole lot of human development. If you knew the right people, you might be able to go to a seminar once a year. It was all who you knew, not what you knew. And you were there to do a job, and you did continuing education because you needed to keep your license up.
Right. You get focused on the day-to-day, the stuff you have to do.
On the day-to-day. There were very few perks. Sadly, I mean, if you think about perks, everybody wanted to thank all the frontline workers for the COVID virus, and what were they doing? They were feeding them donuts and pizza. That's the last thing they needed when they were working 12-hour shifts and stressed with death. That's the last thing that they needed.
Right. They needed healthy foods. They needed a night to sleep. They needed
a support system. They needed counseling. They needed so much more than pizzas and cupcakes and donuts.
Right.
But that's what people do, which is sad. And where I used to work, the drug reps and lab reps and all those kind of people would say, hey, what do you guys want to do? And I said, if you're going to bring in an afternoon treat, bring some fruit or something, we don't need cupcakes,
Right. It'll only make you crash faster.
Right. Make sure that you've got something for the people that choose to eat vegan, or vegetarian or whatever. Just make sure it's healthy.
Right. Exactly. Put some thought into it and think about what they really need to help keep them going.
Right.
For sure. For sure.
But there weren't that many perks or, things to actually make you want to stay. There's so much burnout in the nursing world these days. And that burnout was there before COVID. And that was one of the things that attracted me to working with Chris and getting this movement going of putting humanity back into the workforce, no matter what your industry was, especially in healthcare, because everyone's out there wanting to be this great burnout coach. Well, you're teaching them survival skills, and you cannot go through life just surviving. You have to go through life thriving. And if you're not going to do anything to help that, why do you think that people don't want to be going to work every day?
Right.
Why do you think they're having the Sunday night blues, thinking, "Oh my God, I've got to go to work on Monday"? And years ago we used to have 8-hour shifts. Now they have 12-hour shifts. And what do nurses do on those days that they're not working those 12-hour shifts? They're catching up or they're sleeping because they're just burnt out. They're just toast.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's about the number of patients that you can see in the hospital, and it's not about having conversations. I've had 3 conversations this week with nurses that say we don't have a chance to even interact with patients anymore. We're in and out, go to the next room, in and out, go to the next room, in and out, go to the next room.
Right. Chris, your thoughts?
No, that's kind of sad.
It is sad.
Because we're losing that connection, and not just the hospital. I think we kind of seeing that across the board. We're losing that connection, that human connection.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are working in call centers and things like that don't even know the people they're working next to. Yeah. We don't even know our neighbors. We can take it outside of the workplace. We don't even know our neighbors. And I mean, I know a lot of my neighbors. I don't know them all, but I'd like to get to know them all. And yeah, it's not easy remembering everybody, but I just set up a next door app for our neighborhood because we all need to be connected. We all need to help each other out,
Exactly. Yeah, there's not that sense of community as much as there was a long time ago. And right now, more and more people are working from home. So there's even less of a connection because you don't have that connection at work. But even companies that have the remote work, they can still do things, I think, to bring and keep the humanity back into the workplace, and things that they do and how they recognize people and how they bring on the right people and recognize the things that are happening. And like Ann was saying, just having a good mission and vision, and also your values that you set up, and you have to live and breathe those values. You can't just put them on paper and say, hey, here's our values.
You've got to walk the walk if you're going to.
You have to walk the walk. I was watching Good Morning America this morning, and I can't think of the name of the company, but it was a small business that basically was, during the pandemic, was set to lose their business because of, not being able to have customers in the store. And she cared so much about her employees that she, sold things and refinanced her house just to pay her people so that they would stay with her. And there were a lot of things that she was doing, fundraisers and things like that, trying to keep the business afloat for her employees, not just for herself, but for her employees. And basically that just showed that, there are companies, even small ones, that can bring humanity back into the workplace by doing the right things. And I think those are the things that, we need to get out there and get talking to people and seeing what we can do to bring that to light. Focus on,
It's interesting you bring that up because I was just reading on, I think it was an article in LinkedIn yesterday. I think I was reading it. And they were talking about a lot of larger companies are mandating that people come back to work full time in the office. And I mean, they're putting their foot down, and a lot of people are fighting back against that. And it makes me wonder, how strong was that culture? If you've got people that have been working from home that don't want to come back and work 5 days a week in that culture that you've created.
Mm-hmm.
You would think if you had a strong company culture, everybody would be dying to go back to work, to see each other, to have that community, to get together, to work together instead of doing it remotely.
Yes, I agree with that's a good point. I think a lot of it too is they're seeing other companies that are doing this hybrid type of work where it's partially remote and partially in the office. And so I think there's company or there's people out there that are saying, you know what, I don't have a loyalty, like you said, they don't have a loyalty to this company for whatever reason, and it's probably because they're not doing the right things, but they don't have a loyalty. They want to go somewhere else, and they're saying I can go work here, and so I don't know. Yeah, that's a big piece of makes you wonder why.
Well,
they're not
for
wanting to
years,
come back.
everybody went to work. That's what you
Mhm.
did. I mean, there
Mhm.
was no work from home. And
Right.
then throughout the years, in the mid 2000s, 2015-ish or so, I started hearing about people that were in software jobs or whatever, and they were working 3 days a week from home. And then COVID came along, and then everybody was working from home. And I think that there are a lot of people that actually realize that they could actually enjoy it.
Mhm.
And because a lot of people would say, oh, I don't know if I could ever work from home. I was one of those people. I didn't think I could ever enjoy what I do working from home. And now that's got to be a pretty big job that fuels my passion for me to get up and go into a job.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
I think the biggest thing with the work from home is the ability that people now have to work their lives into working lives. So, someone who commuted an hour one way or even an hour round trip, an 8 or 9 hour day, that's now a 10 or 11 hour day, depending on your commute. And so all of that factors into, okay, that is time I could spend with my family or doing things that I want to do. And so I think some companies are finding that there are certain jobs that still can be done from home, and trying to figure out how do we incorporate that as a benefit, as an option for people so that they, it not only brings the ability for people to incorporate, me time, but you can recruit, if you have an opportunity, you can recruit somebody. If your office is in Michigan, in Detroit, Michigan, you can recruit someone in Atlanta, Georgia, or wherever. And so it now opens the door for your company to have, different options where that person in Atlanta, Georgia, or in Florida, or in California, they may not have been able to do it because they have to stay in California or Florida because their family is there. But now these opportunities open up. And so how can a company harness that and still have a good culture and create that human factor in all of these things? So that's the stuff we need to harness and figure out, how we can do that and help companies do that.
That's
I
where
think a lot of people are getting a lot more work-life balance out of this, and they're realizing that it's okay to slow down, and it's actually refreshing to be able to do that and to have that time that you're not in the car commuting an hour and a half each way to go to work.
Exactly.
Well, I'll have to say this. The technology worked, and it worked for Helen today. Helen,
Yay!
good afternoon. How are you doing
Hi, Helen.
today?
Hi there. It's good evening from me. It's 8:30 in the evening. Nice to see you all.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes, we're
Doing
glad
good.
that you're here. So
I was struggling
what
to
is
get-
your thoughts when it comes to human development? Can it be turned into the next evolution of human resources? Your thoughts?
Oh my God, I hope so. I don't know how to answer that question. That's a really big question to throw at me when I've just joined. Thanks, Chris. My particular thing has been about equality and how equality is a feeling rather than obviously it means other things, but for me, it's about feeling equal. And my work's all about helping people come together as a group to feel equal in that group, and so that nobody has superiority over anybody else, because in truth we are all equal, and it's kind of our minds that make us think that people are less than or greater than us, and my mission is to help people practice feeling equal amongst people that they don't normally feel equal with. Does that make any sense? I hope that makes
Yes.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Great. So that's kind of my short and simple. I mean, it's a big thing, but it's simple, and I've devised some products that help me do that with people so that they can experience it without anybody being in charge, without there being any agenda, just hearing each other. Because I think when people are heard, I think there's somebody famous said, being listened to feels so similar to feeling love that most people can't tell the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And,
that's what I'm about.
and we're so glad you're part of the Bringing Humanity Together community, Helen. We got to have a great and engaging conversation with you more in depth, because we just love to hear what more you have to bring to us each and every single time. So we definitely need to talk. But when I was on Clubhouse, when Chris knows this on just the other day, it really spoke to Chris and everything, because I truly believe we can literally take this dynamic that is human development and turning it into something much more transformative, to such an extent that it will literally change the way we view HR from here on out moving forward. Because we thought, traditionally speaking, human resources were truly working in the best interest of everyone in the company, when in fact, most often than not, what has happened, that has not really turned out the way it has turned out. And I've seen it for over 35 years. I've seen it. And there's some companies, especially on that list that Lisa looked into, of those 27 companies, some of them we don't even know and have heard of before, but yet they are doing the right thing and saying the right thing and doing what is right. So I will go to you, both Chris and to Anna. And this is the question I want to throw out to you first. Can human development be that next evolution for human resources moving forward? What's your thoughts, Chris?
Yes, and I take that in the contents of what I'm developing and how I'm trying to develop this human platform. And in the context of human development is our focus in developing community, developing a backup. Again, I'm trying to create this circular economic system of sustainability. And that takes human development. You know, we have a focus towards young kids, and what we can give them this platform and these tools to develop themselves for the next 10 years. And that's where we see the human development. We got to give the community these different type of tools in order to weed out, all the negativity, creativity, and all the things that they're kind of deprived from. And but we got a lot on our table to do that. But we see our market and we're rolling up our sleeves to be able to invest. We're investing in human development, not just doing development. We're investing, not just time, but also money. And that's where the development come at. And if we feel that we can create this bubble and put them into this human circle, that we want to see what this outlook is going to be within the next long-term investment in the next 10 years, and see where these children of all walks of life be. I'm a global platform, And when we look at our market, these children and human beings are all on the same level, just a little bit more extreme than the others. So that's what we want to be at, Chris. We want to invest really hard dollars into human development and create a better humanity for our future, because we got a lot to work with right now. And I heard from each and every one of us, all these glass ceiling and all these things we got to break through to get to humanity. And and the cultures that we're trying to create, or trying to change these cultures that are already there. It's hard to change. Every day we just trying to create this to change them, and it's like everybody's so hard headed, egos, but it's not that much with these children, and that's where our investment is going. So yes, that's me, and I'm done speaking. Thank you.
I think it's not a matter of can we, it's a matter of we have to.
Yes.
We don't have a choice here. We do have a choice, but the right choice is we've got to. We're obligated to do this. We've got to lead the next generation. We've got to work on changing the generation that we're in right now.
Yes, and I think starting with the youth, and that is a really important factor that we really haven't talked about yet, per se. I think that is basically get to them before they've made up their minds about the world, and try to bring a positive influence to the youth, and that can only help create that culture later and builds on that culture. So I really like that mission, and I think it really works very well with our mission. I think, again, working with the youth is something that we should all do. Yes.
I think us and being older, we've been through it and we've seen it, and we don't want the younger generation or even our own kids, we don't want them going through that. And you see the 18 to 35-year-olds, they want something different. They want to be heard. They want to be respected. And we didn't grow up that way, sadly. Now we're seeing the importance of it. So it doesn't mean, well, we couldn't do anything about it. We have that opportunity to make those changes for the younger people, because they want to live differently. They want to work to live, not live to work. Right. They want to go out and make a difference in the world, and they want to be heard in the workplace.
That's echoed around the world, not just here in the States, but that's the echo. Being in Clubhouse, I'm good. I'm not a speaker, but I just talk from my heart. But I'm a great listener.
That makes a good speaker. That makes a good speaker.
So I listen to all these young people around the world, and they all saying the same thing. They all, I mean, that age group that you just said. So they're breaking out, and they're going to unite one way or another, all these cultures, because they've been so suppressed and so deprived of that creativity and ingenuity and opportunity that it's all going to come together. And we see it. I see it all the time. So yes, globally.
And see, and I've said this from day one when I started this journey and started this movement and purpose and my passion and calling, that is bringing humanity together. I know down to the down reaches of my soul that the best investment is the human investment. Once we truly invest in people, it's like what Zig Ziglar said many years ago. If you help others get what they want, you will get what you want. And then when John C. Maxwell said it in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, if you help others get to where they need to go in business, then you will get to go to where you need to go in business. And then if that goes for every person at every level, whether to be a nonprofit, for-profit business, wherever that's at, they can also get to go to where they need to go. So I even boiled it down even more so. And this is our mission statement here at Bringing Humanity Together. And it's one I even personally go by, which is, if I help you, you help me, then we help we. You're smiling, Helen. What are you thinking about that? I see you smiling.
Just like your sentiments. That sounds great. I agree. You know, my ultimate aim is to be able to bring what I do to children, and it seems such a sensible approach. You know, it helps everybody, like you say, and it seems weird to me that so many leaders and organizations are still going down the competitive route and really not benefiting from the joy that comes with cooperation and creativity and co-creating ideas and giving everybody that voice and hearing everybody. And I kind of think that maybe they think that if they hear other people, that somehow something's taken away from them, and leaders want to be strong and decisive. And actually, I think a great leader is the one that listens to other people. And you don't have to do what they say. You can just listen to them. And if they've got a good idea, then use it. You know, it's to the benefit of everybody to get everybody's ideas. You know, when people who are working on the front line of a job, if nobody's listening to them when they're doing the job and they understand the difficulties and nobody's listening to them and their ideas about how it could be better, that's just a massive waste of resource. You know, so when you take humanity out of it, even on a business financial level, it makes complete sense. So it's missing a trick on all those levels, both business, financial, and humanity, of course, you know, should be at the top. But even if it's at the bottom, it's still, you know, it still makes good business organizational sense. And I can't get my head around why so many people don't get that.
Yeah. You know, if you don't listen, they're going to stop talking.
Exactly.
Sharing great ideas, useful ideas, cooperative ideas. You know, they're just missing so much, and it's just a crying shame. It's a crying shame.
Well, see, Helen, I'm glad you mentioned that, because what we're aiming to do here and what we will do is create that space and opportunity for everybody involved, whether it be in their workplaces or individually as people. Because to me, I've told people many times this: you can't have a business without people, and you can't have people without a business. They're interconnected, they're intertwined. But I will take it a step further, and I'm going to ask this question to both you and Chris, and I want to start with you, Helen. Is the next currency of humanity going to be rooted in value, not money?
Sorry, say that again. Is the next currency of value
versus money? Is value going to be the next currency?
I've been wondering for some time. I thought about, you know, how really value should not be about money. And I understand why it is about money, because I think, you know, a lot of ambitious people, they want things in the world. They want the, you know, they want the material things. And I get that. I want that too. But ultimately, you know, I see the cleaner, the sweeper upper, you know, if they're doing the same hours, it's what value are people bringing? And it's not monetary, but it doesn't make sense really for the long term for money to be the only valuer. In the UK, I don't know whether it's the same in America, but in the UK, magistrates, who are our judicial system, I don't know whether you have the same, but they're voluntary people. They volunteer to do that job. And it's a very, very high status job. It means you've got high integrity, that you've got no skeletons in your cupboard, you're checked out, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it has really high status, and you are vetted and you are chosen. And then you are very much recognized for that, for the status that you bring. And, you know, I kind of think that in terms of, you know, something along those lines is what needs to be human value. And that could be your cleaner or your CEO. And the cleaner could be much more integrous, much more human, you know, have much better moral standing than the CEO, yet financially. You know, and they may be doing a much harder job, you know, in terms of the hours that they work and the commitment to them. There's something really off kilter, and obviously I don't have the answer to it, and even if I did, would anybody listen to little old me? But I see that something needs to change in the way people are valued for what they bring to the world.
Mhm.
Chris, what's your thoughts? Is the next currency of humanity going to be rooted in value, not money?
In the true world of humanity, yes, it would be human value. And I got a lot of people really mad on Clubhouse quite a few times, and I did them like this. They were like, telling us about the future, and I said, just think about a future without money.
Mhm.
Oh, there's never be no money. Money ain't gonna be. I mean, these guys got really mad.
Wow.
They couldn't even envision that. They couldn't even take money out the equation. So I'm like, okay, so this is what we're fighting against. But in the true world of humanity, it will be human value, and to the point of what I'm building with the BHN basic human needs system. One of the true values of my company is based on trade. Actually, reciprocal trade without doing trading soft services and trading goods for value without money, and it works. And you could get that. So I'm creating what we call the human chain. Sometimes we talk about the blockchain, but I'm creating the human chain to the point where we're creating a system. Let's just prepare if technology crash. Let's prepare if the monetary system crash. What do you got? What are we going to do? What do you have? We got each other. Oh my God. How are we going to survive with each other without money and technology? Oh my God, we're all going to die. No, we're not. We're all going to survive. Those seeds are still going to go to the ground. Those farmers are still going to plant. The people are going to come and harvest. The people are going to come and distribute it equally to all who needs.
Mhm.
That's humanity. That's value. That's human value.
Mhm.
Hey,
Yep.
you think that can happen? COVID gave us a nice little taste.
Yes, it did.
Okay. It's time is to have that human chain and to prepare for human value. So I am, and if you go to my website or you look on any of my marketing or any of my social media, you're going to see a V. You're going to see the actual letter V, and you're going to see an equal sign over it. It stands for equal value, and we stand for that. So when you talk about value, we are 100% human value. So I am with you when you say that. I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Well, Chris, that's why me, you, and Carla, and Lisa, and Helen, we all need to have that conversation together, because I will say this: what you proposed to me the other day on Clubhouse, I'm really wanting everyone else to be involved in that. So we definitely need to talk. So, Carla, what would be our next steps probably moving forward? And I would also throw that to Lisa and to Chris. What would be our next things that we need to start doing?
As in like a call to action?
Or what you see? What would be the things that we probably can start doing now? And it can be a call to action, but whatever
Yeah.
it looks to you.
Well, I'm thinking in terms of exploring the ways that companies can increase their human value and their human connection in the company to enhance their culture and share that with the world. It's not a matter that they have a secret, that company X is doing this, that, or the other, and don't tell anybody, because then somebody else will copy it. Well, if it's that great, why wouldn't you want somebody else to copy it? And then when you have these big organizations that everybody would think has this glorious culture because everybody wants to work for Company Z, why aren't they doing it?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily calling them out, but it's just bringing attention to it, that if these smaller companies can do it, why can't the bigger companies do it? When you worry about having people come back to work oh no, it has to be 100% on site, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you're not going to come back 100%, you're not going to be working with me. you need to turn around and go, well, why is it that they don't want to come back 100%? Why is it they don't want to make that commitment to come into the office? Maybe it's because of your culture, and maybe you need to change that and take that hard look at what it is that you're doing or not doing that other companies are doing. And, what is it they say? Imitation is the best form of flattery. Take on some of these things that other companies are doing. Do some hard-nosed research and go, what are other companies doing that we're not doing, that they've got such a great culture? I'm sure they'd be happy to share.
And most companies are, in the business world or companies that I've worked for, we always talked about, why recreate the wheel? Instead of recreating the wheel that's already been created, you can take what's already there and expound or build upon that. And obviously there are things that work for some companies but may not work for another company. It really just depends on the company, the size of the company. And so taking what works for one company is great, but most times you have to tweak it to your specific company. It could be your values, your culture, all of those things. It could be manufacturing versus a software company. Sometimes in manufacturing, things don't work exactly like they do in software. So how can we use what someone else is doing, even if it's not in a manufacturing company? How can we use that in a manufacturing company? So I really like that, Carla. We need to start getting this information to companies and showing them how we can help them get there, because having that value or showing them how that human value really is going to not only help their culture, but it's going to help their bottom line in the long run. And overall, if we're speaking about the world in general, right, it just makes better sense to create that humanity in every part of the world, not just the workplace, but outside of the workplace too. And with Chris, talking about how he's working with the youth and Helen and things like that. Working with the youth is just as important. But we have to figure out what our goals are and then and put a plan together. At least that's my thought. Put a plan together. What are we doing? And, one of the plans was getting our website going, and I know we're working on that. And so I think, Anne was on earlier talking about values, and we need to list our values. I think we're almost there, right? We've got our mission statement and our vision, but we just need to get those values down. So maybe we need to plan a session where we can just focus on our values. So when our website goes up, we've got the values and we can list our values, and then we can start put a plan together to figure out how are we going to take this to the world.
And we will.
Mm-hmm.
But Helen, what will be some of the things you like to see as the next step to start this evolution process? What will it be for you, and what will it look like to you?
Well, just as you were talking, so I'm not sure of everybody's names, but the last person that was speaking, I think the values, and also I see so many bosses. I think most people want to think that they're a good boss, they're a good manager. I don't think anybody goes to work to be a bad manager, but they just don't have the skills or understanding. And in my experience here, people get promoted because they've done a good job, and then they become a manager, and nobody teaches them how to do it. It's like nobody teaches you how to be a good parent. And if you don't find some way of learning yourself, then it's really difficult. So I think management need more skills in how to share and how to develop their teams. And I don't think many managers are taught. I don't think many parents are taught. I don't think many managers are taught. There's skills that can be learned, and I also think that most staff, especially if you've got a poor manager, staff don't speak up and say what's going on, because they might lose their job. If that poor manager takes against them and they don't, their face doesn't fit anymore, then they'll just make their life hell. People are really frightened to speak. it takes a lot of courage, and most people don't have enough when their job is potentially on the line, or their enjoyment at work. Somebody starts picking on it. It's so easy to happen. I mean, it's schoolyard stuff that just goes along with people through their life. And
Right.
I've seen often people who get promoted into a supervisory or more turn into, well, we call them little Hitlers here. They turn from being nice people who worked with their friends into somebody who suddenly becomes a little power crazy. They don't understand how to use it. So I see that as something, and it all comes from the top. If you've got poor senior staff, then you're on a hiding to nothing, because they just employ more people like themselves. And I suppose my hope is that the job market gets so that it's more of an employees have more choice, so they don't have to stick in jobs, that they can move to another job when one gets unpleasant, and it becomes an employee market rather than an employer's market. And that they can start then saying, this isn't good enough, and if you want me, I'm good at my job. If you want me, you're going to have to do better. And that's still, I don't think that still isn't the case in most companies, and particularly with everything that's gone on, people are presumably even more frightened for their jobs at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that answers your question, but that's what I've got.
Yes, and I like what you said there about the tools. The managers and people need the tools. They need the tools, and then they need the support as well. Because sometimes you can have all the tools that you could get your hands on, but if you don't have the support, I mean, if the manager or the people are overwhelmed, all the tools in the world aren't really going to help if you don't have the support. And sometimes your best learning is through that mentorship, having a mentor, someone, a good mentorship, someone who's doing it well, mentoring someone who is new or needs the skills so that's the support. And I think that's important too.
It's a very lonely job being a leader, and whether it's a manager, and a middle manager, I think possibly has the worst job, because they're getting pressure from above and they're getting pressure from below. And really, the pressure from above is directly usually opposed to the pressure below. What the people below want is the exact opposite to what the people above want. And they're in often in an open situation if they're a company that is very profit driven. And who do they talk to? Who do they go to? How do they support? It's a really good place to be.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So, Chris, what's your call to action, sir?
I'll start off with, I was on a Zoom call in a circle of CEOs. And one of the CEOs was from BP, British Petroleum. And he said, and they talked, and the discussion was about humanity, inclusive capitalism, and what can big companies, and not only their CEOs, do for the earth, for the people, for the poor, or just for humanity. And he said, until we as BP find a smooth transition into energy, we will continue doing what we're doing, because we need to keep our cash flow the same. We need to keep our investors happy. So I was like, okay. So he's just saying, we're going to keep polluting the earth until we find something better. Until if we're going to transform into this new green energy, we can't skip a beat in our cash for our investors, and for how much in our bottom line profit. And that says a lot towards a company that can make a big change for humanity. They don't want to take a loss for the better good of the people. That says a lot. That just says a lot on where a lot of the major corporations are in decisions towards what you guys was talking about, you ladies were talking, I'm sorry, in the aspects of culture. That's CEO. I have the choice to be clean because of who I am as a person, I'm bringing humanity, and I'm using humanity as a creed. And I pass that on to all my board members and the people who coming on to my on my platform. And if you pull anyone that's on my platform or close to me on the top tier, and you talk to them, the first thing gonna come out of their mouth is the people and humanity. They're not going to talk about profits. They're not going to talk about return on investment. They're not going to talk about what's my bottom line, because they know their ROI is based on humanity and what they can give and what they can give back. So that's what we're setting up. And that's our focus for, what we're trying to build for humanity. We're building that humanity culture. You can't even come on board. I think, once we get into the human resources part where we still got that creed. So no matter if you coming in as higher on any level, you still working for humanity. And that's the creed we're trying to set. You're gonna have humanity first. It may be a job, but your bottom line of your job is, once you put your time and energy into this, you're really helping someone. You're not just pushing a monster. You're pushing for humanity. And to answer your question again, Chris, it's about creating relationships, those humanitarian relationships. That's what we're trying to perform. And again, we do have our market, and our focus is to, again, we do have a focus on the kids, but we just got a focus on just the community itself. But why our focus is on kids is I'm building this platform to give to these kids. When they grow up for the next 10 years and they be 10, I want these kids to be running this company. I want to give them these tools that they can bridge off of. But I'm for all humanity. But these kids are going to be running this company. And I want to create these tools and give them this platform to be able to do that. And I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. So, call to action from you, Carla, what would it be?
Oh, I just lead with your humanity and work with these companies to get more focus on the human development and not the bottom line.
Yeah, and my call to action is just simply this. Just be human. Just be who you are. Lead with your humanity every day and every way. And I just think there will be a better way forward once we realize, once you're in that space, there's so much opportunity to grow and thrive, because if you start thriving rather than just surviving, not only will our workplaces grow, but we will grow too as well. So, Ann, Chris, Helen, Lisa, and of course, Carla, thank you so much. Helen and Chris, we definitely want to speak with you. So let's have a meet and greet call together. We want to do that with you because, like I said, we want more people involved in this with us here, bringing humanity together. So if you're up for that, please reach out to us and let's have that conversation and let's do that. But again, another great topic, Carla. You just did it so well, again, as usual.
Well, I just believe that if we lead with our humanity, the profits are going to come.
Build your dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Profit is purpose. Purpose is profit.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go. All righty, everyone. Thank you for another great Humanity Happy Hour, a.k.a. the 19th hole. And we greatly appreciate you so much. And,
you guys have a great 4th of July if you're in the United States.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, you too.
All righty. All right.
All right.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care.